Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show, home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros.
Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show Action Edition, where we feature feedback from you, our listeners. I'm here with my old buddy Larry. And Larry, what's been going on?
Well, John, it's been another great week in the handyman business. I think I'm getting COVID tired because we're busy. But anyway, we're going to talk about that somewhere in the future. We're going to talk about the handyman business and going.
Yeah, and I need to I hear you. I need to get some new skin on my knees too. I don't know. That's good Lord. I'm getting too old for that sort of thing. But anyways,
so we got an HVAC we got an HVAC. We got a question, an email from I can't remember from who, but it doesn't matter. It was about their HVAC system is not draining their water off, and water's pouring into the pan. So I'm going to relate this same story. I had this happen actually in one of my rental houses, and I got this rental house, and I get up in the attic. It's hot, right? And the AC's running constantly. And for whatever reason, I know what I was doing. I was up there actually looking at electrical. And I get up into the attic, and this mirrors the email almost identically. So I'm just going to tell my story. So I get up in there and I look, and the water pan underneath the HVAC system, the evaporator, is just full of water. And I'm like, what the heck, And sure enough, there's the drain, and I see the water's actually bubbling out of the top of the drain, right? So what does that mean? Well, I have a long PVC pipe that goes to the outside. Well, it's clogged. Right,
yep.
John? It's clogged.
I've had the same thing here in my house.
Yep. So what do you do? What do you do when it's clogged?
Well, I will tell you that you need to get it unclogged.
Wow. And folks, that's why you listen to the Handyman Pros Radio Show.
Right.
There you go.
Right. That's linear thinking right there. So, Larry, that when you see something like that, before we get into that, when you see something like that, it really took me aback when I saw that happen in my house.
Yeah. We were a day away from a ceiling leak. I mean, I was a day away from a ceiling leak,
Absolutely, man. When mine was coming over into the emergency out of the pan outside, that I was lucky that was working. But when I went up there and saw that, I don't know about you, but that really took me back. I was like, holy smokes. I mean, that whole thing could have been coming right through into my bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's usually up high, right?
So basically what happens is there's a lot of gunk that gets built up in those things coming off the evaporator, just the way these things operate. Not to go into all the details. And then also on what I have found is on the drain line that exits your house, and mine goes through the side of my house through the brick, is that the PVC line will get over when it's not working during the summer, and it's kind of wintering over, when you're using the heater and things, bugs get in there, or wasp or something will make a nest in there or something like that and clog that thing up. And you got to clean that out. So there's a variety of ways to do that. You can snake it out. Now, what I have learned, I put Clorox in mine. Then I found out something different that I should be doing, because Clorox can sometimes attack the PVC pipes. With a pure Clorox or a bleach. And why don't you? What did you use?
Well, I just use Drano. Right, because Drano is actually designed to pour down pipes, right?
That's the stuff to use.
Yeah, and so pour it down there. And if you have a severe clog, then you actually you'll need to do one of two things. You either need to snake it, which is sometimes hard because 3/4 inches long, especially if there's lots of twists and turns and stuff.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and you know that. And so, John, you told me you actually took one of your pipes and you cut it and you put you set it up to where you could put a little air pressure on it, right?
Yeah.
And and you actually blew it out. Now that's really severe. What we're going to tell you is put Drano in there. You know what? Put it on your calendar, and every year before it starts to get a little warm, right, before your AC starts to run, just go up and pour a little Drano in that bad boy.
I will tell you that is a great tip.
Yeah.
And the other tip is, now I've seen this a lot, and maybe some of you guys out there that work in the HVAC business, But I've seen a lot of people that put T's on the pipe that's coming out of the evaporator to pull the condensate out of the evaporator and to drain it off. And the T's have been open. There's no cap on the T. Now, if you're following me, that means that I could just, look right down in that pipe. Now, I've seen this in several homes now. I'm not sure if somebody's out there that has a reason why to do that. I'd rather have it sealed up. But, if you are able to put like a T in there anyways, and so you can, put a cap on it. But it makes it very easy for what you're saying, Larry, is that every year you just go up, unscrew the cap, pour a little Drano in there, put the cap back on, and you're all set to go.
Yeah, you're good to go, and that'll keep it clear. In my case, I poured it in there. Now I had a long run on this house. I mean, it was probably
I do too.
30 to 50 feet. Well, it's probably 50 feet by the time it runs down to the ground, right? Mine runs down to the ground, and
yep.
there's 1, 2, 3. There's like 6 90s in it. So it's really.
Hey, the same guy must have done mine that did yours.
Yeah, probably. Hey, I don't care. It's done now. It works right now. I'm 5 years from now. I don't care because I'm not here. But with all those. So anyway, I poured a little Drano in there, and lo and behold, in probably less than 20 minutes, it had eaten through whatever was blocking it. I think I had some algae growth in there. Blew through that. Started draining water out. I mean, ran like a frickin' spigot for about 14 or 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden, no more water. And I took a fan and I put it up over the evaporator, a regular, just a box fan, and just let it run for several days to dry out the water, because I didn't have an emergency over drain in this particular system.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So I do now, but at the time I didn't. Yeah, right. But at the time I didn't have an emergency drain over it, so I put a box fan up there and dried it all out. Well, now come 2 months later and 100 degrees every day for and the air conditioning's running basically 24/7. No water in there at all. It's all draining out the drain pipe.
Yeah,
and because I dropped.
It's a good feeling to have that fixed, and a lot of people don't understand that. Your unit is you have to get that condensate out of there. So it's either going to drain through gravity, which you're talking about right now. Yeah. Right, and the same with my unit that's up in my attic, and then of course you've got something that's down below, and they make these pumps, the condensate pumps that take that, the thing is dumping condensation into a tray or whatever, and this pump kicks on like a sump pump,
yep,
and kicks it outside every so often. I will say that those things need to be looked after as well, because they get a lot of junk.
Yeah,
same issues.
And, now, yep. I don't know about putting Drano in one of those. I'm hesitant to do that, but they usually use a piece of like polyplastic pipe on the out to push the water out. And I have taken those in the past, and I'll take a small bucket, I'll unhook it from the pump, drain what water is in there into the thing, and then literally just blow through that pipe to blow any debris out.
Yeah,
because it's small. It's much smaller, and then hook it back up, and then you watch it, and it pumps the water.
Yeah,
out.
What I've done is I've put a little bleach in with the condensate when it gets full, and then I'll I'll flush it. I'll keep dumping water with a big glass or a pitcher,
yep.
and just keep that thing going and just flush the whole thing out. Every once in a while, my old one I would have to take apart. I was too cheap to buy a new condensate pump. So me, keep my washer and dryer refrigerator running for 30 years. That's right. The hell with that. I'm not buying a new one. I'm going to fix this thing. But, but the gunk and everything would build up in that thing, especially on the float in there and all kinds of stuff. Now, this new one I've got is all sealed up, which is interesting. And that's where all the
guys like you out of it. That's
keep me from goofing with it. But, anyways, that's these are the kind of tips that you really need to think about when you're when the summer rolls around.
Yeah, put it on your calendar.
Exactly. And once again, find out where your condensate pipe is dumping out, and take a look at, make sure that there is water coming out of there.
Yeah, make sure it's not draining into your walls or anything. Anyway, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget to join our Facebook group at Handyman Pros to join in our conversations, or send us an email at questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. Go to our homepage, handymanprosradioshow.com. Leave us a voice message. All kinds of good stuff going on here at the Handyman Pros Radio Show. Appreciate you listening. We will talk to you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this podcast and have derived some value from it, here's 4 things you can do. 1, tell your friends about this podcast. 2, hit subscribe on your podcast player. While you're there, leave us a review. 3, subscribe to our newsletter by going to handymanprosradioshow.com and click on the subscribe button. We'll inform you of upcoming events, shows, and give you actionable tips for maintaining your home and property. And 4, send us an email with your questions to questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. That's handymanprosradioshow.com. That's our show for this week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.